Hey there, freaks and geeks. This is Wicked bringing you another audio commentary for WCReplays.com. This is copyrighted 2005 by the site. Don't quote, copy, or distribute it, without our written consent, etc., etc. I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired. I'm just about to leave for 9 days, but seeing as how I haven't had an audio in a while, I figured for the three of you who actually listen to me, I do appreciate you, so I figured I might make you another audio before I left for a couple days. I like the Undead versus human matchup because if either the human or the Undead does one thing that's ridiculously dumb, they're guaranteed to lose the match, which I find particularly appealing. So like I said, go ahead and get that replay paused at 2 minutes. I decided on 2 minutes because 2 minutes is basically right before the heroes come out on a normal build, and right when the hero is being built in a fiend build. As you can see, SK Iron Gauge is going. He's got his graveyard up, his crypt up, a Zig halfway done, a Tome of Relics, and an already completed Ziggurat. Whereas Sunky is in the process of building his scout tower, has his Archmage nearly out, and has 2 footmen, which he has rallied to right outside the creep camp, outside the lower end of Plunder Isle, which is where our game is being played. So it looks like it's going to start off being fiends versus foots, the classic battle of undead versus human. And if you've got that replay paused at 2 minutes, we're going to unpause in just a second, but make sure you notice the militia of Sonki that is scouting out Iron Age's base, because there will be something, in my opinion, pretty darn cool that happens with that particular peasant in just a moment. So, once again, replay paused at 2 minutes, unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. Alright, and you'll notice that Sonky's built the typical, human base, with the straight line with one entrance. So if you want to get in there, you're going to have to get out the same way, which allows humans to cut you off fairly easily. Now, of course, there's regular creeping going on, with Sonky creeping out the creep camp's nearest base. There's, at the same time, Sonky's using 3 militia to creep out the smaller green camp on the left side of Plunder Isle, with the Null Brute and the Null Poacher. Now, 3 militia themselves can do that, which will give your Archmage some bonus experience. Now, go ahead and zoom up to the top where a Scout Peasant is being pursued by a Ghoul right now. Now, the Ghoul's pretty fast, and the Peasant is doing the tried and true strategy of running to creeps to get killed. Now, he realizes that he's going to die, he's not going to make it to the creeps in time, so what he does is, the Peasant is going to very quickly build a tower, and then cancel it, so that the creeps will come and kill the Ghoul. Now, you can piss off a lot of creeps with just a little tower build, because we all know that creeps are drawn to whenever you build something. That's to prevent extremely fast expansions. That's nothing new, but the fact that you can use it to kill your peasant faster when you are running away from a Ghoul is actually something quite useful. I'd never even thought about that before. So anyway, both sides of this battle are creeping out their natural expansions, but only Iron Age is actually going to build an expansion at this time. It looks like Sonky is merely creeping his out and not going for the full expansion. He will expand later to counter the expansion of Iron Age. Excuse me, I'm feeling very tired today, so if I speak a little slower than usual, just pretend that I'm being poetic. We're going to have the first battle here going on with Sonky's Archmage leading his footmen, and Iron Age's Death Knight leading his Ghouls. Now watch as Sonky tries to get into position for a surround, but it fails, so he just goes to focus firing. That's an A-click right there. A quick Death Coil removes all facets or evidence that there was any attack. I don't know why I said facets. Sonky's going to go up and scout for an expansion. Definitely a smart thing to do if you're in the vicinity. And it was particularly smart in Sonky's case because there is an expansion there. Now, he is attacking the full Ziggurat because he did not realize that Iron Age was actually right behind him. because if you're able to take down a full ziggurat, it is infinitely better than destroying one that's in progress, which can be easily cancelled. Now look how... Alright, there was a lag spike right there, as you should have just seen a whole bunch load of chat come up. But anyway, back to the battle. You can see how Sonky is focus firing ghouls with his Archmage and Footman, and he's killed one by now. He's killed two, and by the time he's killed two, he decides that it'd probably be better to cut his losses and run, if he has any losses. He's going to turn back just to get the element of surprise and surround the Death Knight, which will be forced to town portal momentarily, but as will the Archmage, which has also been focused on... excuse me, the Death Knight wasn't forced to town portal, it was the Archmage. Now, one of the most important elements in Warcraft is knowing when to cut your losses. Now, Sonky realized that after, 2 ghouls, and not losing anything, he had done his part in this battle, and he decided to beat it a little bit. However, it's also knowing when to know that your opponent knows that you know when to cut your losses. Because Sonky also realized that as soon as he was running away, Iron Age knew that he was going to try and cut his losses and run, and Iron Age didn't want to let him get away without anything, so he continued to chase him. He didn't expect Sonky to turn around right there and get a surround off on his Death Knight, which made it a lot easier. Anyway, back to creeping. A couple riflemen picked up against to counter the ghouls. The riflemen are in a way like using fiends to counter grunts. It doesn't seem like it would work, but it will, because of the riflemen's high damage. They're especially useful against low HP units such as ghouls. And now, if you notice, the Archmage popped 2 ivory towers right there. Ivory towers cost the same exact amount of gold as a scout tower and build 30 times faster. They're awesome little expansion defenders. Early game, you just pick up 2 of them, then upgrade your towers. Sonky brought over 4 militia to power build a mine, because he knows now that Iron Age has an expansion up, and he needs one as well if he wants to counter this, because the victory of the human army requires that the humans have tier 3 air to beat the undead. Now, one of the main things that I see lots of low to mid-range players making, is they see a bunch of ghouls and they say, wow, wouldn't it be great if all those ghouls were slowed? So obviously they'll start, slowing ghouls, getting sorceresses, getting priests, doing what they do against every other race. Now, it is definitely not a good idea to get casters against undead, because undead are the only race in the game that has a unit that gets stronger by a huge percentile when you use casters, which is why that is of the utmost importance to tech to tier 3 air versus undead. You need Dragonhawks to counter destroyers, and you need Griffins to counter the ground, especially if they're using ghouls. Now, you may think, well, what if they get fiends? Air can't counter anti-air. Well, at first it doesn't make sense that fiends would counter grunts, but they do. Fiends can counter wyverns. It makes sense. Yes, well, fiends can counter wyverns. It doesn't make sense that you would use human air. However, human air is much more powerful than a wyvern is, and as well, the splash damage from the griffins is very apparent when you're going against fiends, because so often fiends will be standing in a line, shooting their little beads of whatever it is that they shoot out of their hands, webs possibly. They'll be standing in a little line, and the splash damage of the griffins will do a lot of damage to them. Now, most of the time, the undead versus human isn't going to get that many fiends, because he knows that all the human has to do is get Stormbolt, Holy Light, and a couple riflemen, which is why in most cases the undead will keep his fiend number to 5 or 4, unless you're playing against a fiend masser. And it's been a long time since I've seen a fiend masser, other than Philbot or anyone who's actually good with fiends. But right now both players are creeping, and I think Iron Age is going to go check out Sonky's expansion, see if he can do any damage to it. Now, if you remember, Sonky was dancing in and out with a Death Knight earlier, so he sort of suspects that there's an expansion there, but he's not positive. Now, this is definitely one of the dumbest moments in the game. Sonky, instead of going in and attempting to do some damage to this expansion, promptly takes his fiends, and in the face of his enemies, when he's stared down by the human towers and the expansion and the sheer power of it all, he definitely decides to go creeping and get jacked. Very dangerous to get jacked when a Mountain King's involved. That Stormbolt will go off and completely destroy a fiend, almost instantaneously, with a clap bolt. Now, rather than get a coil off, Iron Age decides that it might be better to, TP. That's probably a good idea, but I would have, in that situation, probably coiled and then TP'd in order to maybe save one fiend. Anyway, Sankey not only gets to kill a fiend and lose only one footman, he also gets to finish off the weakened creeps and get all the gold and all the loot. Sankey will buy a teleport scroll to replace the one that he had used earlier. Sankey's talking about lag farms. I don't know what a lag farm is. I don't even have anything witty to say about lag farms. That's how dumb that statement is. Anyway, the Mountain King is vital because Mountain Kings tend to make fiends disappear. With Stormbolt and a couple of riflemen, fiends will sort of melt away. Now, anyway, if you were to look at Sankey's base, like I'm asking you to at this moment, you would notice that there are 3 Griffin aviaries that have been built. Now, 3 Griffin aviaries is something you can sustain when you have an expansion, as well as the 3 Griffins and 3 Dragonhawks that are being built at them. Now, if you would look at a ghoul for me, just pick any random ghoul from Iron Age's base, I want you to go ahead and notice that they have 340 HP and 0 heavy armor. That's 0 armor. So low HP and no armor. So if you do splash magic damage to a ghoul, that's going to go far. 3 Griffins can just decimate many, many ghouls. Not only for the fact that they can't attack air, I know that, but still, those Griffins will rip apart ghouls. And for fiends, the only thing that's better than a rifleman for fiend bolt focus fire is a Griffin. So what you want to do is, at the start of the battle, bolt your fiends, bolt. I already said Stormbolt, didn't I? Alright, bolt your fiends and then attack them with the Griffins and riflemen. Take them down as fast as possible so that they can't get too many webs off. And then you just you start attacking the rest of the army. But the fiends are definitely the utmost priority. Now, Iron Age is attempting to build up the classic versus human army of fiends and destroyers. Something he has failed to notice, however, is that Sankey is not going any casters, which means that his destroyers will be, unfortunately, without mana. Now, with Stormhammers having been researched by Sankey, his Griffins are going to do a lot more splash damage. Now, here comes Iron Age for the first Tier 3 conflict of the game, in which Iron Age will try and take down the expansion of Sankey. Now, Iron Age has added a Crypt Lord 3rd, and a Paladin 3rd has been added by Sankey. I want you to go ahead and put in 1/2 speed for this battle in 3, 2, 1, 1/2. Now, another reason that air is so good against Undead is because if the Undead wants a 3rd hero option, it's either going to be a Dreadlord, which you won't see as often, or the Crypt Lord. Now, if you have a big line of casters, that Crypt Lord is going to be able to rip through them, correct? But if you have a whole bunch of air, they're not going to be able to. Now, the important thing about fighting Undead with your aerial army is that you need to be able to focus fire. You need to use Dragonhawk Riders, because they're your only things that can attack the destroyers. You need to use your Dragonhawk Riders to attack the destroyers. Hopefully, if you can, you should outnumber them. And if you don't, you should hope that he's not focus firing your Dragonhawk Riders. So you're using Dragonhawk Riders to attack the destroyers, while using Griffins to attack the ground forces, mostly fiends, using bolts, harassment, No, oh my god, well, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Using Stormbolt to stun a Crypt Fiend, and then using the Griffin Riders to attack it. Now, if you notice, Sonky will get off a nice surround here on Iron Age's Lich, blah blah blah. Human nuke with Bolt and Light. A very powerful nuke it is. And when you couple in some Griffin Riders, it's even more powerful. So down goes the Lich. And, you know, like I said, if you look, Sonky is definitely focus firing on destroyers with his, am I saying after every word? I really don't want to do that. Yes, he's using Dragonhawk Riders to focus down on, destroyers. Because of their light armor, the Dragonhawk Riders actually do sufficient damage to take down a destroyer under focus fire. Riflemen are also a excellent counter to the destroyers. Riflemen are a very good counter to the whole of this strategy, the Crypt Fiend Destroyer. Now, the Crypt Fiend Destroyer, I will tell you, will absolutely run through footmen and casters, as well as riflemen and casters, and just because of the fact that casters will be raped by the destroyers. Oh, I just noticed that we are still in 1/2 speed, so go half. Go ahead and put that in 1 speed in 3, 2, 1 speed. So now we've got Mountain King running about, you know, all the normal stuff. You see Sonky's 3 aviaries are still being used to pump out units. Now mostly it's become Dragonhawk Riders, because Sonky knows that there's that the only way that that Iron Age is going to be able to counter him is possibly with Frost Worms. And if you notice, as Iron Age is built to Frostworm houses, I don't know, hotels, boneyards, right in the back of his base. He's currently constructing Frostworms. Frostworms are a great counter for everything for Undead. An Undead can say to himself, oh no, they're massing riflemen. What's your deck counter with? Don't worry, just go for some Frostworms. What's that? The Night Elf player has mass hippogriffs. It's okay, just go for some Frostworms. My Undead Mirror opponent has 20 billion Necromancers. Don't worry, just get some Frostworms. Frostworms can even counter anti-air. That's how good. They're very versatile, one might say. Now, here comes the battle. And, Sonky's going to bring in his Dragonhawk Riders and start focus firing again. This battle is even more so confusing than the last one. So go into 1/2 in 3, 2, 1, 1/2. Now, Web is being used to take down Dragonhawk Riders, obviously, but because Sonky has more Dragonhawk Riders than there are Fiends, he's still able to use Focus Fire against the Destroyers. He's not doing it so much in this battle, he's pretty much just letting them attack move, but that's just because his heroes are helping to decimate the entire army as well. If you listen carefully, you can hear the sounds of many of the Dragonhawk Riders going down to Focus Fire. However, it's still not a losing battle yet. The Dragonhawk Riders just took down a destroyer because Sonky has finally realized that he has forgotten to focus fire. Now that he's focus firing, the destroyers are going down fairly quickly. The Lich once again is being targeted for a nuke. It's generally a good idea to try and take down a Lich. They'll go down fairly fast. Even when they get coiled, they still only have around 500 HP, and that can be made up rather quickly with a Bolt and a couple Holy Lights. Now back to Sonky's back to focus firing destroyers with his Dragonhawk Riders. Web is being recast. There was another lag spike right there. You can see more focus firing of Fiends going on with the Griffins and the Heroes. Griffins and Heroes have become the the Fiend Eating Squad. Now, one thing about Frostworms versus Human Air is Aerial Shackles will take a Frostworm out of commission for as long as that Dragonhawk Rider is in commission. Sonky seems to have forgotten about Aerial Shackles for a moment. It could be that it's too hard for him to click on the Frostworm. As you can see, he got one off there. The Archmage is nearly dead, and there's a TP forced. And there's a very lucky move by Sonky here to kill this. There's a Stormbolt that hit the Frostworm right before the TP went off. Very nice timing by Sonky to kill that last Frostworm. Notice no Arcane Sanctum at all. I know it's hard for humans to fathom. Human players, that is, we're all humans. Except for me. I come... Oh. I was gonna make such a funny joke, but I didn't there. I couldn't remember what the unit actually says. It's like I come from the deeps, or maybe I come from the darkness of the pits. That's the armpits. Nah. Anyway, regen scrolls being popped, statues being used, unholy aura. Well, there are no statues left for Iron Age because he lost all of his destroyers to focus fire by the Dragon Hawk Riders, but unholy aura will heal up an army pretty fast with its, it'll give plus being on blight. Anyway, third expansion is being thrown up by Sonky. Another thing that I notice about low to mid-range players is they never know when to push their advantage. After you've won a battle like that, that's generally the best time to expand. If you've won a battle in the beginning of the game, what you want to do is probably go back and creep some more. And if you win a battle at this point in the game, which is still not decided, but you think you've got solid victory, what you want to do is solidify it more so. And the way you do that is expand more. If you've got one in the middle of the game, you're probably going to want to take it to his base. Alright, so we're going to have another battle here fairly soon. It might not be this one, but we'll see. So now that Sonky has thrown up another expansion, he's going to attack. A good tactic is, after an expansion, attack and burn a town portal if necessary, just to keep your opponent none the wiser to the fact that you have an expansion. Now, Sonky, just to point this out, it's a little bit late, but he built a scout farm on the ridge in the middle, which means that he has had vision of the middle. Say if I turn on the Fog of War, he has complete vision of the middle. He can see anything passing through there without the undead ground army that is seeing him. Any destroyer could see it, but for the beginning of the game, it's an excellent tool to use constructing a farm at that spot. Now, once again, Sonky's just going to go out and check for expos. It's expo hunting at this point in the game. We can go ahead and leave it 1/2 because there's going to be another battle fairly soon. As soon as Sonky flies up and realizes that there is no gold mine. Now, Iron Age is heading out to possibly go and attack the base of Sonky, because he knows that that the base is the weakest part of the human army. The human army itself is better than your army, but the base sucks. All you have there is a bunch of free experience, militia, and maybe an arcane tower. Anyway, here comes this final super hyper battle of the century. Now, if you notice, Iron Age is going to accidentally sort of leave one of his fiends out in the open, and like I said, one of the main points of the fighting here is to focus fire the fiends with bolt and rifle/griffin attacks. Now you see, this time at the beginning of the battle, a shackles has gone off on the frostworm. Now using bolt as well as holy light, you see that Sonky is still actively focus firing fiends, while he leaves his anti-air units to counter the air. The shackles has gone off on the Frostworm and is keeping it in place. The Frostworm's not be able to fight all battle. Griffins are very good against frostworms because of the heavy armor of the Frostworm. You can focus any Frostworm any day with Griffins. They're a very good counter to it. Yeah, Holy Light doing lots of damage versus the liches, the lich, and generally this is the end of the game here for Iron Age. He's just lost his, there was a very nicely timed coil there by Iron Age to save his Crypt Lord, but I fear she'll be in vain for the MK. The MK doesn't have mana for Bolt, but there is enough left for a Holy Light by the Paladin, and bada bing, there it goes. Now the fiends are going to be focused on, but when you have the advantage and the player runs into the back of his base, you're going to want to focus buildings. Building focusing is what you do. Anyway, here comes Iron Age to do a little trying to draw them off his buildings. Excuse me, Iron Age is trying to draw Sonky off of his buildings, maybe get him into a fight with these towers, with this tower that he's constructed. Now, notice how Sonky sent in that Mountain King first, so that over 1,000 HP could tank the damage. Now here comes a focus fire on the Death Knight with a Holy Light and a Thunderbolt. Another teleport goes off. An aerial shackles happens on the Frostworm, but that will be teleported out. Alright, so now we have the loss of Iron Age's Iron Age's expansion going on. Not that much damage being done by the piercing or magic damage of the Griffins or Dragonhawk Riders. Nobody said that they were base destructors, but that's what you need to do to beat undeads. So he takes out the Ziggurats, starts focusing down on acolytes, etc., etc. Iron Age is going to make a last one-ditch effort to possibly save his base from death and destruction for doom. Focusing on buildings, there's really nothing exciting going on. Sonky is sending 4 peasants up to the top left to expand again because he won another major battle. So you want to expand as many times as you can after each major battle. In all honesty, you guys could just stop watching this replay now. There's a little tiny skirmish at the end, but it doesn't really matter. The true point of this game is to show you that casters are not the way to go versus undead. You need air. Now, because we discussed a few counters for casters, we have not only destroyers which feed off the casters, but the Crypt Lord will, impale an entire line of casters, which will, let me tell you, get rid of them pretty quickly. So, and if you're going casters, you're basically playing right into the undead's hands, because as soon as he reaches tier 3.5 and reaches the destroyer upgrade and gets destroyers, you're dead. If you're playing with casters, you're playing a timed game. There's a certain time that you have until you can beat them. Now, there's the end of the game. I wasn't watching the last part of it, but if you're going with air provides you lots of options. Not only does the air counter anti-air, as you saw when the Griffins were taking down the fiends left and right, the air also counters air. If they get frostworms, you can just shackle. I mean, holy shack, that's a lot of shackling. Now, let's see, I hope you guys all downloaded Mr. Cygnus's final audio. I think it's very sad that Mr. Cygnus has left us, and everybody at WCR, of course, wishes him his best and whatever he does for the rest of his life. And I hope that, maybe he'll come back and do another audio for us sometime. Until then, maybe I can finally go back and do some Night Elf audios like I used to post in the member audio commentaries forums back when I did my own games. Of course, I wouldn't do all my own games because my games suck, guys. Anyway, I'm sure Phreak will take over the Night Elves and he'll leave me to cover all you other little pitiful races. Oh well, I love them. Don't worry about it. I got you guys covered. Visit the audio blog if you want to leave any comics. Yes, if you draw me any comics, please leave them there. No, if you want to leave any comments, I post there about the development of audios. I'm looking into getting a dual audio going with former WCR audio commentator, now Australian cool guy Dooch, who used to be a human commentator back in the first couple months of the site. I'm definitely looking into trying to get him back to WCR, maybe do a dual audio with me. Hopefully that one will be good if it comes out, quite honestly. But like I said, man, download Cygnus's last audio. Wish him well. It's very sad that Mr. Cygnus is leaving us after so much time, but I'm sure everybody else at WCR will be working double hard just to put out high quality stuff like we always have. So I guess this is Wicked, for doing that stuff off signing.